Good evening, folks, and welcome to the Horror Corner. Good evening, folks, and welcome to the Horror Corner. I'm your host, Sean Patrick Gershon. This week we're doing another tag video. Yeah, there's a lot of them going around. And this one was created by Hey Internet Eric here, and this is his first tag that he's created. It's called Hey Internet Horror Tag here. So let's get into it. He's got quite a few questions, and these are really fun questions too. First one, right off the bat, scariest slasher character. Michael freaking Myers. Bam! The man, the boogeyman himself, is the scariest slasher character in my opinion. When I first saw the original Halloween, I was just terrified by Michael and intrigued at the same time. I'm like, this guy is so evil and mysterious, man, what's going on with this guy? You know? And the most interesting, you know, even though he's so mysterious, you don't really know much about him. Michael Myers for me. Number 2, worst sequel in a franchise. I'm going to agree with David's horror on that. Freddy's Dead, the final nightmare. The absolute bottom of the barrel for me. I hate this movie. And this is the only one in the franchise that I just despise. I just can't stand it. I can't get through it. It's just an embarrassment to the franchise to me. I can't deal with it. It's just a complete joke. Number 3, a horror movie you wished more people talked about. I'm going to say Tourist Trap from 1979. I think this is a horror classic that people really need to talk about more. I wish people really acknowledged how great this movie is. I know it's kind of a smaller, kind of low-budget film produced by Charles Brand, who eventually came up with Full Moon Features. And this is by far the best one. And Chuck Connors in this movie is just amazing. I think his character is like iconic, or should be anyway. The fact that he has telekinesis, a slasher killer who also has telekinetic powers, imagine that? That's awesome. Number 4, horror remake you prefer over the original. For me, that was pretty easy. It's going to be Invasion of the Body Snatchers from 1978, the version with Donald Sutherland, and yeah, great movie. I think this movie is much scarier than the original. It's much more gruesome, and the pod people are a lot more creepy and unemotional, you know. And the fact that this is PG is pretty awesome too. What they were able to do, make a really scary movie, and it's only PG rated. I love it, and what a great cast. You got Jeff Goldblum, amazing cast. You know, you got Leonard Nimoy, Donald Sutherland, Brooke Adams. Awesome movie. Number 5, horror movie that didn't live up to the hype. Now, it's not necessarily a bad movie at all. It's actually a pretty good movie. Paranormal Activity. You know, I remember seeing those commercials with the people in the crowd, like, horrified, like, at a test screening and stuff, you know? I'm like, wow, I gotta see this movie. This is a big deal, apparently. And when I finally saw it, I was pretty impressed at what they were able to do with such a small budget of only, like, what was it, 20,000 or something like that? It's like, that's pretty amazing when you think about it, but to me, I watched it once and that was it. I never had the desire to watch it again. Never had any desire whatsoever to see any of the sequels. I just thought it was pretty good, one-time watch kind of thing, you know. Number 6, a favorite horror animal. Now, this might be a little bit controversial, but I'm going to go with King Kong. Yes, technically he's a monster, or is considered a monster, but he's really a giant gorilla, you know? He's an actual animal that exists in nature. He's just really huge, you know? So, yeah, he's not like Godzilla, that is a creature that's never existed anywhere else, you know? King Kong is a giant gorilla, you know? And, yeah, I love King Kong. I love the original. I love the remake from, what was it, 78 was pretty good. I love Kong versus Godzilla. I love the Kong Skull Island, you know. And obviously King Kong vs. Godzilla, the original one, and then King Kong Escapes. I even love that one when he fought Mechanic Kong. Number 7 is favorite horror book not written by Stephen King. Now, I'll be honest with you, I'm not a big novel guy when it comes to reading. For some reason, fictional novels, I feel, tend to just, like, drag on and are way too descriptive for me about even, like, mundane things. When they get into so much detail, it's like I get sleepy. And that even includes some of the Stephen King stuff, you know? I know I should be more appreciative of it, and I love, like, when they translate them into movies, and, you know. But when you sit and read the actual novels, I don't know what it is. Like, fiction for me just, I don't know, it just doesn't do it. I prefer reading more stuff about reality-based, or like true crime stuff, or true stories, or autobiography type stuff. But I don't really get into novels too much. With that being said, my favorite horror book is The Hammer Vault. I love this. This is basically the encyclopedia of Hammer films, you know. And when I first got this, I had only seen maybe a handful of Hammer movies, and this made me want to watch a lot more. I'm like, ooh, looking through this book, I'm like, ooh, I want to see that one, I want to see this one, you know. Great, great book. Absolutely definitive biography of Hammer films right here. Number 8, favorite fire stunt in a horror movie. And I'm going to have to agree with Hey Internet Eric here, and that is Halloween 2. Such an awesome stunt that it's right here on the cover. How beautiful is that steelbook cover, man. I love it. Yeah, amazing stunt, and that was actually Dick Warlock who did that stunt. The guy who plays Michael. That's one of the reasons why I love him as Michael more than anybody. He did all the stunts, and he played the character. Anytime Michael's on screen, that's Dick Warlock. There's no stunt double or anything, you know. Number 9, a horror movie that you feel like you're the only one that enjoys. Yeah, this one is definitely much maligned by critics and fans alike, even. The Satanic Rites of Dracula, which is the final Hammer Dracula film to feature Christopher Lee. Yeah, a lot of people hate this movie. I don't really understand why. I think it's a lot of fun. Yeah, there's definitely some cheese in there, some definite 70s funky music type of thing, and but I love it. It's got that, you know, this the satanic cult thing, and to me, there's some of the best scenes ever between Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing here. I just love it whenever they get together, whenever they're on screen together. They just have a magnetic chemistry, even though he's the villain and he's the good guy, you know. And there's some great stuff in here, you know. Next up, number 10 is coolest looking horror creature, but it could never have been a human at any point. So for me, that was easy. It's Alien. The original design of the alien creature by H.R. Geiger. It's just amazing. There's never been anything like it. It's just insane. It's like whenever I think of an alien, I think of the alien design, the alien creature from the movie Alien. And of course, the entire franchise. It's just such a unique design, and what a brilliant artist he was, and there's just nothing like it. It just feels otherworldly. It feels like an alien that, if you ever saw anything like that in real life, you would be freaked out, man. You know? Number 11, a horror movie you didn't expect to like and really ended up enjoying. I'm going to say Valentine from 2001. I just thought it was, going to be like the typical Scream knockoff, like a lot of films were in the late 90s and early 2000s. There were a lot of movies that were kind of copying Scream. And this did have a little bit of that in there, but I think it felt more like one of the early 80s slashers, like especially the premise, the setup, felt like a lot like movies like Hell Night and Terror Train and Prom Night and stuff like that. It definitely felt like an early 80s slasher in that sense, and you had a really cool look for the slasher killer with the baby mask and, like the Cupid mask. Really cool looking, and the killer does some really unique things too. A lot of cool, like, creative kills. Yeah, I really enjoyed this movie, and I wasn't expecting to. Number 12, most memorable horror ending, and I'm surprised no one picked this one yet. Sleepaway Camp. I mean, the ending is just unforgettable. I mean, your jaw just drops when you first see it. It's like, wow, what the hell? Like, it's nuts, it's crazy, and it's scary. It's really eerie, and it just sticks with you. Once you see that, you cannot get it out of your mind, Alright, guys, that's my answers for the Hey Internet Horror tag here. So, thanks, Eric, for tagging me. And I'm going to tag a few people. I'm going to tag Jen and Christian over at Jen's Reviews from the Grave. I'm going to tag Lisa Loves. I saw her do a tag the other day. I'm going to tag, let's see. I'm trying to think who hasn't been yet, because I know he tagged a lot of people. Let's see. I'm going to tag Anthropomantic Fiend. And, let's see, who else? I'll tag The Collector Man and the Q's Reviews. So that's it. Thank you guys for joining me, and answer the call and do the Hey Internet Horror here tag. And thank you for joining me, Sean Patrick Urshan, in the Horror Corner. Tune in and stay scared.